So I started the Alpine Project earlier this year as a business designed to help ad tech companies create and implement their environmental sustainability strategies. So we know that over the past 18 months or so, the entire advertising industry as a whole has really started to be more aware of its impact on the environment, something we weren't even talking about 2 years ago. And ad tech in particular has now realized that our industry has a huge impact on the environment. We are now anywhere from 2 to 4% of overall greenhouse gas emissions, depending on which research study you show. But what that means is that we as companies in the industry have to take ownership of the impact that we have on the environment by measuring, reducing, and removing greenhouse gas emissions. And so we take our clients through a process where they start by measuring through an emissions inventory that is third-party verified and publicly disclosed, following internationally recognized standards that other companies and other sectors have been using for years. We are simply taking those same standards and helping companies in our sector catch up with the other industries that have been doing this for much longer than we have, and setting our clients on a path towards actual real net zero.
Now, you're also part of the Ad Net Zero initiative. Can you tell us about what's going on there?
Yeah, so Ad Net Zero is obviously a great organization that launched about 2 years ago out of the UK's Ad Association and just launched in the US earlier this year. And I have been involved with Ad Net Zero pretty much ever since I first came about them and started to get to know the leadership team there. And so I'm an advisor to Ad Net Zero, but I'm also the chair of Ad Net Zero's Working Group Number 1. Working Group Number 1 is where we measure and decarbonize business operations. That's where we tackle the work that we do as companies in the industry. How do we start to make sense of how we quantify and actually make real change against the emissions that come from our business operations and all the different things that we as advertising companies need to do to continue to provide valuable services to our clients while also understanding the impact that all those business operations have on the environment. And so in Ad Net Zero's Working Group Number 1, we have conversations with brands, agencies, ad tech partners, publishers, and really have a group discussion around the high-level ideas as to what we need to be doing as an industry. And then Alpine Project is there to help with more consultative step-by-step approach to actually getting the real work done. It's like doing your taxes. You got to do it every year. You got to follow standards. It's not fun, and sometimes it's good to have help. So Ad Net Zero is kind of giving you the guidance, and Alpine Project is actually there to give you the consultative step-by-step guidance on getting it actually done and getting it in a way that's aligning with, as I mentioned, those standards that have been used by other companies and other sectors for years.
So when you're trying to help companies through this process, do you bump up against the economic reality of trying to push through this weird time we're in and this broader initiative that everyone's kind of on board with?
Yeah, I mean, there's a big question on the table, which is everything I invest in has to be good for business, right? And that's why we don't spend a lot of time talking about the big macroeconomic or geopolitical issues that are related to climate change. I think that we all have our own personal views on that. I like to put that aside and focus on the business case. Why is creating and implementing a sustainability strategy good for business? And those of us in the world of ad tech and digital publishing, we have economic buyers, and our economic buyers are the big brands and the agencies that represent them. Those big brands and agencies have all made very public, and in some cases very ambitious, science-based net zero targets. 5 of the 6 global agency holding companies have made science-based net zero targets with the Science Based Targets Initiative. And if those companies are going to hit those targets that they've set, they're going to need to make sure that the companies and all of their supply chains are in line with their overall vision for making real impact on their greenhouse gas emissions. So we're ad tech. We're just another one of the supply chains that these big brands have. And we want to make sure that we're helping them actually get in line and align with the challenges that their economic buyers are facing. Because if you are part of their supply chain and you can decarbonize and you can actually publicly disclose and be transparent about real emissions data and making real progress towards emissions reduction, you're only going to help your economic buyers hit their goals too. And that's not just good for the planet, it's good for business.
So this is one of those issues where everyone seems to be on board, but change is always challenging. What are some of the big obstacles you face when you're talking to partners or maybe the brands and agencies they're attached to?
Yeah, I think it's an ongoing education process first, like getting people to start using the same terminology. I think in our industry in particular, I'll read a press release where sometimes people mix up some of the terms. And so step one is let's all actually get educated on this new topic because we're in the advertising industry. This is something that has been discussed in other sectors for a long time. Let's get caught up with the rest of the world on what's the right terminology to use, what are the right metrics to be using, and the right standards, guidelines, and protocols to be following, so that at least we're all playing out the same playbook. Then let's actually start to make that business case, because to your point about challenges, I think one of the biggest challenges is we don't have a budget for this. And we need to make sure that if we're going to apply a budget, that there's going to be some sort of return on investment. If we're in the ad tech industry, our business is all about serving the needs of our clients and winning business from brands and agencies. And that's where we're at right now, is convincing decision makers at ad tech companies and publishers that this is a right business decision, because if they make the investment now, right now they can actually create a really interesting, unique differentiator for themselves where they are aligning with their big brands and agency partners. But I think the next phase of this over the next few months is it's going to go from being a unique differentiator that you can have as a company towards compliance, where you're going to have to do it anyway because your buyers are going to require it. The SEC and the European Union may very well require it within the next few months. And the third one is talent. A lot of young talent coming out of university right now has a whole new set of requirements for the company that they want to work for. And so making sure that you've got a transparent and ambitious and measurable and actionable sustainability strategy will help you really make impact in those three areas.